Welcome back to Three Ball Walk, our second session of the week with our special guest Kyle Niblett. And Kyle, Director of Publicity for the Florida High School Athletic Association. And it's a good transition. We're going to be talking a little bit about your former job as Sports Information Director at Mississippi State and college baseball in general. But you were at the high school state championships last week.
Right.
A lot of talent. Mississippi State, for example. Florida products, are they recruiting? What schools are in Florida high schools looking for recruits and looking for athletes?
Every SEC school, every Power 5 school, every mid-major school, every D2 school. I mean, everyone comes to Florida for baseball. I mean, just like a lot of people in football go to Texas or Florida. Same concept. The West Orange, their starting pitcher was a North Carolina commit. Their closer was an Ole Miss commit, and their championship game starter was a South Carolina commit or something like that. So, I mean, those are the type of schools that you would see the commits of down at JetBlue Park in the championship series.
That's pretty cool. Now, you mentioned running out on the field with your camera to get some stuff for social media at the championship game.
Yes, sir.
And I remember the last game that you did for Mississippi State, you ran out on the field to get some stuff here at the MAC because Mississippi State had won the game, and you about took a tumble.
I did.
You come in first place. I saw it on TV.
There's a little sprinkler right behind the rubber there.
Yeah, and you kind of almost went down. You didn't go down though.
My boy Zach Houston actually, I don't know if you can see it on TV, he actually grabbed me by the back and held me up. Because if not, it would have been a domino effect, and that would have been really bad for my last day. So, thank you, Zach.
And you're a Gainesville resident.
Gainesville resident.
Born and raised.
Went to Gainesville High School, went to the University of Florida.
And then all of a sudden worked at the University of Florida Athletic Department. Went to Mississippi State for how many years?
4 years and 8 months, but who's counting, right?
The thriving metropolis of Starkville.
The giant metropolitan area that is.
And then this position opened up. The Florida High School Athletic Association is headquartered in Gainesville,
right?
Ironically. So the position opened up back in your hometown, and you jumped in the middle of baseball season. And
jumped in the middle. How crazy is that?
Correct me, but what Eddie's saying, that the Bulldogs were playing.
Right. I interviewed for the job right before Mississippi State traveled to Vanderbilt and took 2 or 3 from those. Had to put that in there. And then I accepted the job, and they asked me if my first day would be April 11th. And I said, well, that's kind of a coincidence. And they go, why? And I says, because Mississippi State plays at Florida April 8th, 9th, and 10th. So I'll see you on the 11th. And then I accepted the job. So I worked those 3 games, Friday through Sunday.
So you came with the team.
I came with the team.
And never left.
I missed the bus on purpose.
The bus back home?
The bus back home. Well,
it was not my home anymore. So I said, goodbye, everyone.
That's a long bus ride.
That is a long bus ride. That's about 8.5 hours.
And then a month later, your team, and I'm sure you're still very close to them, and
absolutely
wins
every day.
Wins their first SEC championship
since 1989.
That's a while.
Yes. In fact, the last time they won it, the head coach was an outfielder on the team. So that's how long ago it was.
And how will you get a ring?
I don't know. That's not up for me to decide. I don't need a ring to know what I did. So I'm very happy for them. So that's cool.
And they're on an interim basis right now, filling the rest of the season.
They're on an interim basis right now. They're going to reevaluate it after the summer, just like Florida baseball.
What does a sports information director in college baseball do?
Everything. Mississippi State went 24-30 last year. So my primary goal, as soon as the season was over with, was to create a buzz about a team, which is very hard to do when you go 24-30 and you're last place in the SEC. So from a strategic messaging standpoint, my job was to get a hold of media outlets like D1 Baseball, Baseball America, Perfect Game, and let them know that even though it was a 30-loss team, there was a lot of talent, a lot of building blocks coming back on the team. So one of the things I did was I did daily updates of our summer league, things like that. And, we talked about guys getting healthy, things like that. And we had a lot of scouts comment on guys like Dakota Hudson, who's a right-handed pitcher, Reed Humphreys, who's a closer / a slugger, Brent Rooker, who's a slugger, Austin Sexton, who's a pitcher, Zach Houston, who's a pitcher. These guys went to the Cape Cod League. And then eventually I was able to start building the buzz. And Mississippi State was the only team that had a losing record in 2015 to be ranked in any preseason poll in 2016. So those are the types of things I did.
From the buzz.
Essentially you create a buzz from nothing and try to get that momentum going to where if enough people are saying it, by golly, it must be true. And then once the team took the field, they took care of it. So
and this for a lot of you young guys, watching out there, you know, you dream of playing in the big leagues. You dream of, and eventually some coach comes along and tells you, you know, you played college baseball, and then did you get drafted, Eddie?
I did not get drafted.
Someone comes along and says, your talent is taking you as far as you can go.
Well, let me put it this way. A scout once told me in high school when I went for a tryout, he said, the game has a way of sorting you out at some point. It's either at little league level, it's at middle school level, it's at high school level, it's at college level, it's in the minor leagues, and a very fortunate few, the game lets you decide when you walk away.
It does. Everyone else is forced in. But that does not. I own a World Series ring, public relations director for the Florida Marlins. You worked at a baseball field every day for 4 years.
Every day. And
Your
I did football,
office-
too. I went to the Orange Bowl, the Music City Bowl, the Liberty Bowl.
And for
Gator
you
Bowl.
young, there's ways to stay in baseball. There's ways to stay in baseball when the talent eventually isn't good enough.
Or you become a writer, and then you just write about baseball, and if you know the game a little bit.
I can tell you what, I know a couple players from the 2014 team that are already scouts. I mean, our starting center fielder from 2014, he's a scout for the Indians.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, the game said, hey, this is where you stop. But he loved the game so much that he made a career out of it.
Yeah.
And there's two other players from the 2014 team that are currently high school coaches, one in Alabama and one in Mississippi. So if you love the game, no matter when the game tells you it's your playing days are over, you can find a way to work with baseball every day of your life.
And studying and keeping those grades up for you young players, that tells you the quality of payment that you're going to receive for staying in the game.
Yeah.
You definitely got to work that. So let's talk a little bit about college baseball. This is going on right now, even as we're recording this. Our conference tournaments all around the country have started. The SEC tournament's in the second day.
How'd you describe today?
Today is Omaha South. Today, 7 of the nation's top 10 teams are playing in one tournament in Hoover, Alabama. Just think about that.
Of the
70%.
eight teams in the 4 games, 7 of them are in the top 10 in the nation.
Yes.
And the other one's just barely outside.
The other one's Alabama, I think.
Yeah.
But they're bringing the most people because it's 45 minutes away. So they're bringing something to the table.
Yeah, that's why it's in Tuscaloosa. I mean, in Tuscaloosa North.
Might be the last year it's there though.
Yeah, let's hope. Then we can maybe get a fair shake. But that's another story. You put a it's one of my things. This tournament, like the softball tournament, means absolutely nothing. It is a meaningless tournament for 14 of the 15 teams that are playing, however many were playing in it. For those 8 that are playing today, it only has meaning for one team. Alabama's the only team that it really matters. The rest of those teams, it's not going to affect them whether they're going to be a national seed or not. Maybe one that's sitting on the bubble at 8.
Vanderbilt hosting.
Right.
If Vanderbilt, they beat LSU today. If they make a deep run, they're back in the hosting discussion. Ole Miss could possibly improve their hosting chances. It was down between them and Southern Miss. Southern Miss had a really bad weekend last weekend. Ole Miss had a really good weekend. And then, if they make a deep run, they can improve their 2 seed that's coming to their building. Things like that.
Can LSU be one of the top 8 national seeds if they win the tournament?
I don't necessarily think so. I really don't.
Even with the finish that they have.
Even with the finish that they have, I think right now there's a geography problem for the selection committee in terms of
D1 baseball has LSU at number 8.
Really, yeah,
and hosting.
That's funny. Kendall and Aaron, they know what they're doing, but I also think there's a geographical issue with the ACC and the SEC. They're called regionals for a reason, and I think there's going to be one team. I don't know who it is. I think there's going to be 1 out of 16 that is a 1 seed, but they're sent to the West Coast at a 2 seed host site. I think that's going to happen.
That'd be interesting.
Why do you think that?
Because in terms of growing the game nationally at the NCAA, their response has always been they're called regionals for a reason, and the majority of the hosts, at least by the numbers, by the RPI, by the wins and losses, come from the ACC and the SEC, come from the southeastern part of the United States, and I think maybe Oregon State might be the only top 20 team. That was a couple weeks ago. But there's only
UCal Santa Barbara, I think, is the only.
Yeah, UC Santa Barbara was the one in the projections, I think, that was hosting as a 2 seed.
Yeah.
And so something like that. But you have to spread it around the country it's just like when you have a Subway Series World Series.
Sure.
Well, if you have 2 New York teams in the World Series, who else is going to watch? And make no mistake about it, the NCAA enjoys the ad revenue that comes in every year
Completely.
and their sponsorships. And if only one part of the country is watching, that doesn't do them any favors.
Yeah, the top RPI team not in the South is really in the South, and TCU is 17. So if you get outside of that, then you got to go to number 20 to get to UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
So that, I get that, but I think if you're going to say, if the NCAA is going to say the
best teams
RPI,
host.
the best teams host, and the RPIs are important, then that needs to be the case, because otherwise,
I agree with you.
what does it benefit a team?
To be the number one
To be
seed
the number one
playing
seed.
at
How unfair is it to work so hard? I mean, all the way back to summer workouts, fall ball, and then you go through your entire season, and you earn the right to host in your stadium, and somebody tells you, hey, you guys did everything right, you won all of your games, but we're going to send you 2,000 miles that way.
But we're going to reward you with a number one seed.
Yeah, you're going to be the number one seed at UCal Santa Barbara. Thanks a lot. And remember, that's, the whole thing about regional things was supposedly be the bus. But that whole argument to me needs to go away from the NCAA, because you don't do that. You send teams in softball. They send Arizona.
I went to Oregon for a softball regional in 2012.
Right. They send Arizona State
Took 3
cross country
flights,
to
got there at
Alabama.
4 a.m.
They send Arizona to Auburn or wherever it was that they went. So there used to be the idea of, well, we're trying to keep everybody on buses, 5-hour buses to regional sites. But with the ad revenue today and with the ESPN money that's coming in, don't tell me that they're not making enough money. They can put them on charter flights and fly.
And then the other thing that they kind of do that's interesting is Florida State, for example, may be the 10th, 11th, 12th ranked team in the country. They will make them the 16 seed
Just to pair them with Florida.
just to pair them with Florida.
Or Miami, interchangeable, those
Well,
three
Miami's
schools.
going to be one of
They
the
won't
top
be- they
8,
won't
so
do
they won't be
Miami.
able. They won't do FSU.
They will do Miami, FSU.
But it'll always be 2 of those schools playing each other in the supers.
Right.
Not based on seeding,
Right.
based on geography.
Well, based on they'll
But
make
they'll
the
make the
seeding
seedings work.
Yeah.
They'll
work
make the
just
seedings
to make
work.
the geography
It's just
work.
like they've done with softball, where you have 2
Florida,
Pac-12
Florida, Georgia.
Florida, Georgia. So you make
Georgia
sure.
was all season long in softball. Georgia was ranked higher, better than Missouri. Missouri got the 15. Georgia got the 16 to be paired
And
with Florida.
if
number
you've
one.
noticed, the last few seasons, the NCAA has purposefully put SEC schools against each other in super regionals.
So there's
to
not
try
a-
to limit
The number.
8 schools in Oklahoma City. Last year, it was just 5.
Right. And
And then in Omaha, 4 of the 8 teams last year were SEC.
And it could be the same thing this year. There's a potential for 5. There's potential for 1.
Right.
And the same thing, but you got to give them credit. The same thing for Pac-12. They've done the same thing with
Right.
Pac-12. They have 2 Pac-12
It's not an
teams playing the
SEC
same-
problem. It's a national deal.
So, but I think if you're going to do that kind of stuff as we get down the stretch, you want the best teams playing, and you ought to reward the teams that play better teams. Like, I don't think personally Florida ought to be the number 1 national seed. If you can't be number 1 in your own conference, how can you be number 1
The
national
4
seed?
seed.
The 4 seed.
Right, they're the 4 seed. But there's still talk about them being the number 1 national seed if they win a couple of games in this tournament.
But you're 4th in your conference, but you also took 3 of 3 from Florida State, 2 of 3 from
Miami, which is the number 1 ranked team in the country.
You basically, you look at that. And I wanted, while you're here, I wanted to ask one question. What's your favorite college baseball story of the season?
Oh, man. It's not my favorite story, but we had a senior catcher. His name's Josh Lovelady. And the first weekend of the season, he goes to back up a throw from right field to first base. And the ball gets past the first baseman, and he bends down to get the ball, completely tears his ACL. And it was so ironic because in January, Coach Cohen makes every player on the team, except freshmen, give a speech to the team about what their goals are. Or just a motivating speech. And I remember in January, his speech was he left Christmas, and his dad said, "Son, this is it. This is the last time you'll ever play baseball," because he knew he wasn't good enough. And just watching him go down and tear his ACL, and then everyone in the clubhouse that night got together and said, "Boys, this season, this is it." And then months later, they're SEC champions, and that really resonates with me because they all played for Josh.
And that's exciting.
That's pretty cool. Well, hopefully Kyle will come back and join us again some other time. It's hard to believe time's gone. That's what happens to us every week.
Sorry.
We have all these things we're going to talk about, and then we run out of time. So, Kyle, thanks for coming and joining us. We'll hope you come back in a couple of weeks. We'll do it again.
Yes, sir.
We get close to Omaha. And remember, if you get a chance, go out and play ball. Find us on Facebook. Send us a note.
Come back, right?
Send us a
Absolutely.
message. And come back and see us. Thanks again for coming.
Don't throw high and in on me.
We won't go high and in unless you bat flip. And if you
Okay.
bat flip, we're going to drill you
The
in the
bat
ribs.
flip last night, over the head, all the way to the dugout. What's Herrera, the Phillies,
Oh,
who
my.
is a stud, by the way.
Well, there you go. Hey, we got to go. We'll talk about that next week. So see you
Play ball.
guys. Have a great week.
Take care.